Kia ora koutou. No mai, haere mai. Hello. Welcome. I'm glad you all came back, and well done for being so enthusiastic going into the second part. Good. That brought us to order. Excellent. We will move to our third set of CCO reporting. So where are we up to? We're up to the Regent. Thank you for bearing with today, David. So David Walsh, manager of the Regent Theatre. Is David Lee? It's not online yet. He might join us online. Otherwise, it will be David singing solo, and that's not his first rodeo, so that's okay. So we are looking at the 6-month report, July to December 2022, and the draft statement of intent. David, we're in your hands.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and councillors. Last time I was sitting in this chair, I was reporting on our current position, and I used words like diminishing bank account, drain on staff, struggling venue, not expecting a quick fix, and hard work was required. But on top of all this, I did mention that we could see a light at the end of a very long tunnel that we were currently in. What a difference 12 months can make. We've exited that tunnel and can see no further tunnels in sight. As stated in my report, the first 6 months of this financial year have seemed like the good old days. We've had a greater number of public return to the theatre than in previous years, which include the years before COVID. 64,000 people attended the Regent from July through to December. This figure is the highest 6-monthly number of attendances being recorded over the past 10 years. Our target for this year is 75,000, and we're now looking to hit 100,000 people. So it is exciting to report on the busy times that we are experiencing and not having to report on lost days. Great events have been held during these past 6 months, ranging from 9,700 people attending the PACAN's mega dance competitions, Act 3 production of Jersey Boys, Highland dance competitions, tribute shows, ABBA, Johnny Cash, Tina Turner, dance competitions, kapa haka, school productions, school prize givings and massy graduations all have contributed to the variety of events and the success of the high number of attendances. The increased number of events indeed has surpassed our expectations, and this has naturally had a flow-on effect onto our finances. Again, we are very pleased with our result, recording a surplus of $80,000 after depreciation for the first 6 months of trading, a turnaround of $115,000 on last year's result. With a couple of our KPIs unlikely to be achieved, we are on track, or have already achieved, 86% of our targets. Our advanced bookings continue to look bright after our normally quiet January and February period, although Jimmy Carr during January did boost our figures with 2 capacity houses doing 2 consecutive shows in one night. During this year, we currently have 28 days booked out of the 30. So the region is currently doing very well with the events and attendances. Being an historic building, there is a continuous upkeep on maintenance, and our relationship in this regard with the council officers is excellent. Who knows, we may even get a new roof. The Friends of the Regent continue to be enthusiastic about their volunteering duties, with approximately 70 people on their books. Our working relationship with the Globe and Te Manawa continues to be strong and enhanced with the quarterly CCO meetings coordinated by council officers. So this report is a pleasure to present, and I look forward to reporting to you on the annual report in just a few months' time. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Any other Davids around? No? Right, okay. David has left you to it, so you will be
gentle.
Available for questions. Well, David, if I start with recommendation 3, which is the officer's comments on the draft statement of intent, did you have any comments on the recommendations there?
we've taken on board what the comments are, and we're happy with them.
And you will have heard in the discussion this morning that we've been moving an additional recommendation about Te Tiriti and also the diversity and inclusion KPIs.
Yes, we were listening intently, and what we need to do is just more clarification of what your expectations are. Because I can present to you events which fulfil those KPIs, or I'd have to, do we look at the building? Do we need to change rooms? Do we need to add in rooms? Do we need to have, what sort of contact do we have to have with certain groups? What you would like to do. And once we have clarification, we will proceed with it. The board has formed themselves into subcommittees, and one of the subcommittees we have had a lady, Janine, come through the theatre to identify all the different areas. Pie in the sky stuff, the toilet area wasn't big enough if they had a guide dog with them. Do you have a quiet room within the theatre if somebody gets anxious within the theatre, and bits and pieces, ramps for wheelchairs. At the moment they have to come up the Regent Arcade and in the side door, which means they can't enter the main doors like everybody else. What can we do to fix that? So the board's on target to looking into that and coming up with some suggestions, I suppose, yeah.
Excellent. And you mentioned the quarterly CCO meetings. Is this something you think you could discuss there? Would there be an opportunity to share understanding?
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Absolutely. And that's what these meetings are about. So we're sharing what we're doing and how we're improving things and who we're communicating with, yeah.
Wonderful. Absolutely. Thank you, David. Questions, councillors? Councillor Hancock.
Thanks, Madam Chair, and thanks, David. Just one very quick question. Just in terms of schools' prize givings and school performances, do you have any a view on sort of what's actually been happening with some of the schools perhaps that aren't rebooking and what the prognosis might be?
We came back online virtually June last year or the beginning of July. So half the year had gone with regard to school performances. We did manage to achieve some school performances who've been sitting out in the wings, but we do have advanced bookings for school performances later this year. They planned it at the start of the year. And with last year, they planned it, but then COVID, so it was wiped. So we are confident that we should achieve school performances, meet our targets next coming year. With regard to the prize givings, it's all to do with availability as well, because you get to that time of the year, you've got your local dance schools competitions having their performances on stage. There's the odd touring act that's still coming through. So it's all to do with availability. We're in contact with the schools, the ones that we know who use us, encouraging them to book for 2024, 2025, 2026.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair.
Any other questions, councillors? You see, David, there is method in taking the after lunch slow spot. You get away lightly. Thank you. There are no further questions. Thank you, David. Righto. So the recommendations in front of us, we're very familiar with these from today. So Council received the 6-month report, received the draft statement of intent, agree the recommended comments be advised to the Regent Theatre Trust Board, noting the statement of expectation objectives are completed, and we have the additional recommendation that we've been bringing through around Te Tiriti and underrepresented communities. I've moved that. I'm checking with the Deputy Mayor that you're okay to second all of those. Thank you. And I'll open for any comments. Well, I have some comments. Thank you, David, for your unending enthusiasm for the work of the Regent and for the care that you take over what is such a significant asset for our city. It's absolutely delightful to hear that things are picking up again. And I remember several years ago when you reported, or the Regent reported 100,000 people through in a year, and that seemed like an amazing milestone. And so I'm very excited I have to say, a bit shocked that we're back there already. I think some of our other CCOs have signalled through discussion today that we're heading into some, the Mayor likes to call them headwinds, around the cost of living and what that might do to that discretionary income that goes into theatre attendance. So maybe it's not all plain sailing coming ahead, but it's nice to be feeling like we've got through it and we're heading into some better times. So thank you for all the work that you do and your staff. You'll pass on our thanks, I'm sure, to the board for their work there, and particularly also to the Friends of the Regent who do such sterling work under sometimes very difficult circumstances. 2 highlights for me from that 6-month report period were probably Dragfest, which was in that reporting period. So wonderful to see the Regent absolutely packed with an audience that was drawn from across our central region. I think there's something so special about a full theatre, and something very special when that full theatre is the Regent, because it's such a big space. So that was a real highlight for me as well, in that it enabled participation by underrepresented communities, which is something that we're keen to see more of. And also you referenced the National Young Performers Awards at PACAN's weekend. And I think from memory, the economic impact of that event was about 2.6 million to the local economy. So just incredible to be able to host those young people and their families and their supporters from all over the country, and to have them experience our wonderful hospitality and our beautiful venue. So thank you for enabling that. Councillor Fitzgerald.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. Thank you, David, and to the Regent Board for your report. Much appreciated. I'm certainly going to support all these recommendations, as with the 2 previous council-controlled organisations. Just picking up on a note of support rather than criticism for David and his team. In the SOY, it's the same activities and performance measures. Noted that there is no specific performance measure for Māori performing arts or Māori participation in the arts, and the officer's recommendations are there. When David was mentioning some clarity around this particular recommendation 5, perhaps it's something that the Board of the Regent could speak with the officers about in terms of addressing what's in the SOY, which will give some lenses to the recommendation in number 5, and if I can be of any support, I'm happy to. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councillor Zabelin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to comment on the difference of experience in sitting in Sister Act, for example, in 2020 in COVID conditions with crowd-controlled numbers, the social distancing and the division, compared to the experience of Moana Junior just this weekend with the enthusiastic crowd, diverse crowd, the Pacifica drumming. There's just so much excitement and pride. And I know that both of those events are outside the scope of this particular report, but I think it really speaks to the work and dedication that's gone in between those times to get to where you are now as a venue for hire. And it just, I think the Moana show really highlighted that dedication and that work. Thank you very much.
Councillor Johnson.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Yes, just want to add my thanks and appreciation to David and the Regent Board and staff. And it's very pleasing to see the Regent bouncing back like this, you know, and acknowledging the difficult times that you've been through. It's very encouraging. And I think in terms of, you know, providing a venue for these, you know, super exciting events that we can all go to. It's really good when the whole theatre is full. I think I'll echo that comment. One thing I just wanted to comment on is that the Regent has actually got some measures already around diversity. So there's a measure around the total number of ethnically diverse concerts and productions, and also a measure around the number of companion cards sold. And so those are the kinds of measures that we're looking to see reported on. But as well, I think personally what I'm hoping to see is how proactively the region will be able to engage and enable participation. So rather than it being a sort of a post-event reporting of things that just happened, I personally would like to see how the region is planning to increase the numbers of ethnically diverse events, or increase the number of people who buy tickets with a companion card, or whatever it might be. So I think we're looking for some actions rather than just reporting historically. That would be my reflection, if that's of any help. But, you know, generally, I think it's a very positive report, and I just hope that things continue on in the same vein. And, yeah, keep up the good work. Thank you.
Kia ora. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I thank you for your report. I just wanted to say what another fantastic asset for our city. And yeah, I remember going to the movies there back in the day. That shows my age. Recently, I've been to quite a few kapahaka events there with my daughter and the team there at College Street School. And, you know, packed to the rafters. Fantastic. Seeing everybody enjoying themselves so much. So thank you very much for all you do.
Thank you. No further comments. So we'll move all 5 recommendations together, and I'll ask you to vote.
Could I just clarify a misvote before my name is revealed?
You're not really against it?
Correct.
They will note that. Thank you. That's carried by unanimously, despite what's said on the screen. Thank you. Thank you. We have 2 further items on our agenda today, so we will go back to confirmation of the minutes, which was item 6 originally, I think. Could be 5. The committee resolved that the minutes of the Culture and Sport Committee meeting of 8th of March 2023, Part 1 Public, be confirmed as a true and correct record. I will move that, seconded by the Deputy Chair, Councillor Meehan. Any points of clarification? Being none, I'll ask you to vote. Carried unanimously, with the numbers all adding up. Thank you. Our last item of business is that the Culture and Sport Committee receive its work schedule dated April 2023. Any comments on that? Bryce, I will comment on the first item there, which is the update on the Artist in Residence scheme. There was, people following along on work schedule will have known this report has bounced a couple of times now. There is a recommendation of Council that if it necessary, a requirement for additional funding will go to the annual budget, but negotiations are ongoing in that space, and we did not want to prejudice potential negotiations by bringing a report into a public meeting. So work is ongoing. If necessary, you'll hear about it in the annual budget. That's all I have to say. Anything from you, Bryce?
No, nothing from me.
Any questions? No? Then I will ask you to vote. Oh, I'll move it, and I'm sure Councillor Meehan will second. There you go. Excellent. Carried unanimously. Nō reira ngā mihi nui ki a koutou, e ngā mana, e ngā reo, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. And I will just finish with our karakia. If you want to join in, feel welcome. Kia putu ki te whaio, ki te au marama, whakamoa ki a tina, homi e, hui e, tai ki e. Kia ora. Thank you all. That wraps up Culture and Sport for this month. We do have a workshop now,